Hello class 8, we will do the chapter 3 from your history syllabus, and the name of the chapter is Establishment of Colonial Authority. Before learning the chapter, I would like to tell you that this video contains a PDF and you have to, after watching the video carefully, you will write down the notes provided in the PDF and also read the chapter. We will not be able to complete the whole chapter today. We will do a part of it. That is, this is the first part of the chapter, and you will follow the video carefully. Then read up to the portion we will do today, and then write down the PDF or then write down the notes that have been provided along with the video. This chapter, this Establishment of Colonial Authority, as the name suggests, is about the methods that the British government introduced to establish their authority or their control in India. How they slowly took over the control of India and how they made India a colony, what were the measures or the laws passed by them, that we will learn about today. The East India Company was established in 1600 AD in India, and after that they started building trade centers in different parts of India. That is, the places from where they used to conduct their trade or business. Later on, we find that gradually, with the help of the trade centers, the company established the presidency system, and they also established forts in different parts of India, like the St. George's Fort in Madras. This shows that the East India Company was gradually growing in power. There were several factors that had actually helped the company to increase their power in India. The first being the Battle of Plassey fought in the year 1757. The Battle of Plassey, in fact, gave them the power to enter into the gave them the political power. The company got the political power in their hands after the Battle of Plassey, and slowly they started increasing it. In the year 1765, they got the grant of Diwani, that is the right of collecting the revenues of Bengal, Bihar and Orissa from the Mughal emperor. Now this was an achievement for the company because now they were collecting the revenues and they were making a huge amount of profit also. Another factor that helped the company to establish their authority in India was the weakness of the Mughal rulers. The rulers who were there on the throne, they were not strong enough to curb or to control the growing power of the East India Company. They were weak, and taking advantage of the weakness of these of the rulers, the company started expanding their authority in India. They appointed people like Reza Khan and Sitab Roy to collect the revenues of Bengal and Bihar. In 1765, Robert Clive introduced the diarchy or the dual government in Bengal. And that is, by this system, the company was actually controlling everything, though the Nawab was there on the throne of Bengal. So all these policies of the company actually shows the power or the authority of the company in India. Moreover, the laws made by the British Parliament, like that of the Regulating Act or the Pitt's India Act, also gave more power or also tried to establish the authority of the East India Company in India. And we find that Britain was also taking an interest in the growing power of the company and was enacting or making laws so that they can get benefit of it, or they can establish their colonial authority in India. The British government realized that many of the methods which the company and its officials were following in India were corrupted and even cruel, and in an effort to see that better administration is established in India and to exercise control over the activities of the East India Company in India, the British government passed various laws. And the first of that law is the Regulating Act of 1773. From the name Regulating Act only, we get an idea that it was an act to regulate the working of the East India Company in India. This act was passed in 1773 by Lord North, and the act provided that the governor in Calcutta would now be known as the Governor General, and he would supervise the governors of Bombay and Madras. Another provision was given by this act that a Supreme Court would be established in Calcutta, and the Supreme Court would consist of 3 judges and a Chief Justice. The company's directors, that is the people who were there in the power in the company, they had to show all correspondence or all the deals and activities, trading activities to the British government. And in order to control the corruption among the officials, company officials, the act provided that all the officials, they had to show the details of their assets. But somehow this act was not really successful, because the governors of Madras and Bombay, they refused to accept the control of the Governor General of Calcutta, and they started taking independent decisions without consulting the Governor General. And so later on we find that in the year 1784, another act was passed by the British government, and that act is known as the Pitt's India Act. The Pitt's India Act was passed by the British government in 1784. Now, this act provided for a board of control in Britain. That is, a board of control would be established in Britain, which will monitor or look after the affairs of the East India Company or the affairs of colonial India. And at the same time, this board of control consisted of 6 commissioners. The third provision of this act of the Pitt's India Act was that the Governor General's Council would be reduced to 3 members. There will be 3 members in the Governor General's Council, and including 1 Commander-in-Chief. That means there will be 1 Commander-in-Chief and 2 other members in the Governor General's Council. And the Governor General of Bengal, or the Governor of Bengal, who was now known as the Governor General, he was given total control over the 2 presidencies of Bombay and Madras. And but the company had the monopoly of trade. They did not give away its monopoly of trade. The Pitt's India Act is considered to be the one that laid the foundation for British administration in India. And according to the terms of this act, all further conquest of territories in India would be stopped. But the British did not stick to this particular term of the act. They went on conquering. They went on searching for new places so that it could be a source of raw material and also a fresh market for the British goods. The Pitt's India Act was in force for almost 100 years. Means till 1857 we find that this act was present, or this law was followed in India. So the Regulating Act, the Pitt's India Act, these 2 acts actually was establishing the foundation of British administration in India. The Charter Act of 1813 abolished the monopoly of the company in all items traded with India except tea. That is, the company would not be the only one which will be doing trade in India. Now anyone from Britain could trade with India. So it abolished the monopoly of the company. In second, we see that the company was asked to separate the income from land revenue and trade, and the income of the company should be spent for military and non-military purposes. The act also further provided that the government would give 1 lakh of rupees annually for the development of literature and science in India. Along with that, the Charter Act of 1830 gave the Christian missionaries permission to preach their religion in India. So the Charter Act of the Pitt's India Act of 1784 and the Charter Act of 1830 shows that the British government was controlling or was trying to control the activities of the of the company in India. And we see that with the Charter Act of 1833, the company's power further decreased, because the Charter Act of 1833 provided that the company had to wind up its operations in India. The Governor General now had full control over all military, revenue and civil affairs of the company. That was, by the Charter Act of 1833, it was decided that the Governor General would be exercising more power and authority in India. So these acts were passed, or these laws were made from time to time by the British government to establish the administration in India, or to establish British administration in India, and at the same time to control or curb the power of the company in India. In our next video, we will take up the remaining portion of the chapter.